Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 38 of the Chaminwood podcast, Out of the Gloom. It's been a while. We've been on summer break for quite a while now, but we're back and pretty excited because we've got three men already scheduled for these next three episodes. If you haven't been on the podcast yet, here's your chance. So please go and sign up. The same way you grab a queue. Just hop onto the podcast queue sheet and we'll make plans to join you. As always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Doghouse. And today we have a special third man with us. We have Kevin Murphy, also known as ATF. Thank you both for joining us. How's the week going so far?
Good, good.
Good. We're just talking about the official beginning of the football season. I'm really excited to see what happens this year. It's that transitional point between summer and fall. We talked about going back to school a little bit earlier and everything that means. But most of the episode today, we're going to talk about what it means to be part of F3, what it means to participate in this fitness fellowship and faith that we all share in common. And to that end, I wanted to ask Doghouse if you would share with us F3's core principles, mission, and credo.
Let's see if I still remember them from the last time we recorded. One, we're open to all men.
What?
Two, we're free of charge.
Free.
Three, we're held outside, rain, shine, heat, or cold. Four, we're peer-led in a rotating fashion. And five, we always end in a circle of trust.
Aye.
And we have a credo, and that is to leave no man behind, but leave no man where we find him. And finally, we have a mission statement that is made up of a task and a purpose, that is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups of men for the invigoration of male community leadership.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thanks very much. We typically started this in the past with a focus on first F first. So I wanted to ask each of you if there's a specific workout that stands out or an event or anything that's been more recent that you'd like to focus on. I know we've had a lot going on these last couple of weeks. So, Douglas, why don't we start with you, and then ATF, why don't you jump in after him?
Yeah, I'm going to steal what I think might be ATF's as well because it was a fun one. But going back to last week, on Tuesday, Toolbox led a halfway to Halloween themed workout. So he actually built a casket about 5 feet long with some poles and some woodwork. It was the most F3 thing I've ever seen. Basically, we had buckets along the trail, I guess along the road at Three Rivers, and each one was a trick or treat where you had a blue medicine ball or you had to do some kind of workout, whatever the case is. And then we took turns filling the coffin or the basket up with the treats and walked up and down. It was very creative. A lot of work I know went into that. And shout out to Toolbox. And I think he said his dad helped him with the coffin. So shout out to Mr. Toolbox as well.
Yeah, he was talking to me about that. We had an off the books run club a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about preparing for that, and it sounded really cool the way he was describing it. I'm glad it went over well.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, ATF?
There's a couple of things, coming off of last was a weekend, 2 weeks ago, we had our convergence, which was, uh, I think was a real good success. We had it over there at the Wood. I think that we had just under 50 guys out there, and it was a great turnout. Guys from Plainfield, Southside, Old Plank, um, all the different regions. So that was always a good time. But more recently, this week, Tuesday, we had a VQ at Three Rivers. VQ was really good. We had Grease Monkey, otherwise known as Robert Paulson, and he did a great job, and I was really impressed with his workout. He had an incredibly powerful COT that he if I can share is what he had done is he took a symbolic coupon, which was actually a coupon, but uh, he discussed how every man carries something inside them that he holds on to, and he needs to let go, and talked about some of the struggles that he had been going through. And he took that coupon and he said, I want to transfer all of that anxiety and all that stress or all of whatever that is into this coupon. And what he had done is then he handed that coupon to the next man, and he told every packs that was there, and we had, I think, 20 guys at the VQ, and he said, take this coupon and put into it whatever is bothering you, whatever's on your mind,
Mm.
and then pass it to the next man, and then pass it to the next man, and we passed it around the circle. And while everybody was doing that, he disappeared and showed up with the shammer, so the sledgehammer, and he came out and said, "All right, now I want everybody to put their energy right into this shammer." And you could see where he went with it, and one fell swoop, and he nailed that thing dead center and just shattered that coupon, and it was very symbolic. It was pretty powerful. He did a real good job. So I was pretty impressed with that for a VQ. So that's what stands out to me this week.
That's great. Not only is it awesome to see any of the men stand up and lead their first workout, but those COTs really seem to be pretty powerful their first time around, whether they've been holding on to something or building up to that. I think you really get a sense for who the man is in that first COT. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear.
I think you get a lot of thought put into them, particularly for that first one. And I think that we can all learn from that by, understanding that, a little bit of thought going into a COT is going to make it that much more, it's going to resonate that much more with everybody else if you just put a little bit of thought into it before you go out there and just start spilling your guts, if per se.
Two good examples, because I think, as Doghouse mentioned, putting some thought into the workout too. Like, I think Toolbox has become really well known for the quality of the workouts and the quality of prep that he puts into those workouts. But you can tell when a guy's just going through the motions. It happens, when guys cue 40, 50 times, it's hard to be ultra original every time. But those ones that really stand out, I think the reason we start with this in these podcasts is to highlight some of those things that are really, really interesting and maybe inspire other men to, as you said, put more thought into the workout, put more thought into the COT, whatever that may be. I'm glad to hear that. For me, not really a workout necessarily, but I really enjoyed the parade at the Crossroads Fest this last weekend. It was the first parade I've walked in myself. So just being there, seeing the community from the road. Like, I've been to that parade and I've watched it in the past. I've seen the floats go by, but seeing it from the inside out and seeing a lot of people I knew, like neighbors and friends on the sides of the streets, and connecting with people, asking men, personally inviting men to come out and join us at F3, and seeing how appreciative they were that all of us stopped and engaged with them. Like ATF, you did a great job of engaging with the kids, giving them the coupon, challenging them to do some lifting with it, and seeing that transition to their parents, I thought was really cool. But I'm curious how you guys enjoyed that experience as well, because like I said, you seem like you were both really involved in getting some of those people on the sides engaged in what we were talking about.
Yeah, I love going to the parades, and for that exact reason, Pauls. I like interacting with the kids while we walk through that parade. Just get them, fired up. They're always, oh, that coupon, that's just a fake brick, whatever. So you walk up to them and say, let me see those muscles, and I drop the coupon in front of them. I said, okay, now pick it up. Now curl it. Now let's push it over your head. And just to see them do that. And then if you look in the background, you see the parents, and they're videoing, and they're laughing, and they're having fun. And then right as I take it away, I usually have somebody with me. I had Cracker Barrel behind me this week, and I'd say, give him a card and tell dad to come out and work out with us this week, or so it was just a good way to really engage the whole family, and it's a good time. And we had a great turnout. I mean, we had, I think 15 guys at the parade this week, and a couple weeks ago down in Wilmington, we had a great turnout down there as well. So it's really a good thing to see our packs coming out and supporting our region to be able to go out there and promote and have a good time while we're doing it.
It's
Yeah,
funny you say
last
that.
year.
There was another workout group, like a kids gym, and they did have inflatable like barbells. So I could see like people thinking it was fake. Like, obviously, people carrying a 35-pound cinder block for a couple miles is ridiculous. But
My
the ones
shoulder
who
was still sore.
the ones who did not think it was fake. The ones who realized it was real were really impressed, and that's good to see too. Doghouse, you're saying?
Yeah, hopefully the kids gym went before us, so everybody thought we were fake. Now I want to share a quick story I saw that I caught with when ATF was doing the coupon. You kind of take a kid out here there, and at one point, maybe halfway through the parade, he picked a kid and said, "Hey, you think you can lift this up?" And the kid's like, "No, there's no way." And he was encouraging him. He was like, "Yeah, you can. Of course you can." And his parents were like, "Yeah, you can do it." And it was pretty cool to see that kid kind of overcome his own mental block and he didn't quite get all the way up over his head, I don't think, but he did a pretty good job. He did more than I think he thought he could. So that was
Yeah,
pretty.
well, a little spotting, but he was able to handle it.
That's great. All right, well, let's turn our attention to second F, Doghouse. Would you kick us off with a little Q&A to get to know ATF a bit, let the men in the region get to know him on a slightly different level?
Yeah, I'll jump right off the top here. When and how did you find F3 and what is your post count today?
Oh boy. Uh, I've been with F3 since February of 24. Um, I came out, I was EH'd by a couple of guys over at the Natabrata's Ricola and Squidward were there and we were talking and I was just talking with the guys and they at that time in my life it was an opportunity. It was something that I really needed and something that when they were to explain to me what F3 was, I'm like, yeah, I've seen you guys out there. That's awesome. I should join you guys. I should come out. And they're like, well, come out tomorrow. And it happened to be Three Rivers right there on a Tuesday. And I said, I'll be there. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna hold you to that. I was like, no, you don't need to worry. I'll be there. And I've been out 5 to 6 days a week ever since. A current post count is pushing 400. I'm not real exactly sure where it's at, but pushing around 400.
Yeah, as you say that reminds me we got to figure out the counts. So I know this has been off for a little while. So
Yeah, let me look at the
no way
pack
to really
stats
go on.
here.
Tell us if you would please how you got your F3 name that day at Three Rivers.
Sure. So my career, I worked for the railroad. I run the drug and alcohol program, and I believe it was maybe Mr. Burns or I can't remember who exactly it was, but as soon as I mentioned talking about drugs and alcohol, they threw out the ATF or alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and it stuck. I was really when I first was named, I wasn't too thrilled with it. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting or
Mhm.
whatever. I'm like, it's kind of dumb, but I'm sure you guys have heard this on every podcast, and the podcast that I've heard is, the name eventually sticks with you, and you start to kind of appreciate it, right? And I've heard and I've told guys is, the name doesn't make the man, right? The man makes the name, and so it turns into something that you tie on to. I got my ATF hat sitting right up here. Where's the guy at? Got my ATF hat, and
Yes.
it's just got a T-shirt that says ATF and patches and everything. So that's how I got my name.
Awesome. Then my last question, what is your typical posting cadence?
My posting cadence is that we said?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said just a minute ago, I'm 5 to 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays occasionally. Um, Mondays and Wednesdays, occasionally I will double tap. I'll hit evenings as well. But I'm pretty regular out on the gloom. Like I said, 5 to 6 days a week.
Being that you are so regular and you've been consistent for as long as you have, do you find yourself gravitating to certain types of workouts, or do you see somebody on the cue sheet coming up and you get more excited because you're like, this guy's going to give me that kind of workout, and I really like that kind of deal?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I really do enjoy incorporating running into the workouts. I like to where you do like a pearls on a string type workout where you're traveling a little bit or running at the campus and running the track is incorporated into the workout. Um, those are the ones that I get the most enjoyment out of. But every one of those workouts has got a something that stands out to me that I do enjoy. I would have to say that a pearls is probably one of my favorites, though. I've cued several pearls on a string that I try to make very challenging. Um, so those are probably some of my favorite workouts.
And I wanted to pause or shift a bit because I think there are a lot of people probably maybe newer to the region, newer to F3, but we don't spend enough time talking about the SLT roles that everyone has. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your role as first FQ for people who don't know what that means, know why we have a first FQ, what that involves, and some of your experience as the first FQ this past, that's been about a year now.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind?
Sure. Yeah, about a year ago, last October, along with Puddles and Doghouse, you've been on that SLT for coming up on 2 years now. But Puddles, when you and I were asked to join SLT too, um, it's a shared leadership team. The shared leadership is just an idea that we as a group are just going to kind of make sure we're going to take the region under our wing, and we're going to make sure that everything keeps running and keeps moving and keeps accelerating. Um, the organization of the shared leadership team, your SLT, the organization of it, we have our Nantan, Ricola, and then we have people who are designated to oversee the different aspects of what F3 stands for. So fitness, fellowship, and faith. The first F being fitness, and I was asked to kind of represent that aspect of our region. The second F being the fellowship, and we have Finch who kind of oversees the second F events and helps to oversee what goes on there. And then our third F, Puddles, and you can speak to that on your own, but the third F, again, looking over the faith portion or the community involvement and the give back. So my role in first F as first FQ, I took it as to encourage men to come out, to be a role model, to work with the guys that on VQs, to make sure that the region is really kind of holding up to the standards that we've expected and that have, were set in place um, when we took over. I had some packs that had told us basically at transition, or at the convergence when we did transition from SLT1 to SLT2. SLT1 did a great job of getting everything up and running and getting it started, and our job in SLT2 was don't mess it up. Right. And I think we've done a pretty decent job with that. We brought a lot of new stuff here into the region, and we're kicking and going strong. So I
Yeah,
think.
I want to find a time. Doghouse, keep me accountable to this. I think before we do transition off of SLT2, I'd like to have the whole SLT on the podcast one time. We haven't had Finch on yet. It'd be great to have everybody on, just kind of talk about. I guess it feels like much longer than a year. It feels like it's been a couple years that we've been doing this together, and I wouldn't say a lot has changed, but a lot has happened in the last year. And I think it'd be good to put a bookend on that before we transition off. Just get Finch's perspective as a second FQ and get Ricola's perspective as Nantan. Now looking back over the course of the entire year, I think that'd be an interesting conversation. Probably good for all the men of SLT 1 and 3 eventually to hear together.
I like that idea.
So we talked a little bit about your role and all of our roles as members of SLT. I'm curious how you look at today and what still motivates you. Like what keeps you either coming out that 5, 6 times a week or motivates you to get other men to come out as first FQ?
Uh, you know, It's been a challenge, especially over this past summer. We've seen our numbers kind of bounce around a little bit, fluctuating and, people traveling and, taking advantage of the weather, getting away for, with their families. And so, we've seen our numbers bounce up and down. As of the last few weeks, we've starting to see them, really recover strong. Um, you know, Pushing guys, what one of the bigger things that I've wanted to do and what I focused a lot of my attention on was making sure that we keep the cue sheet filled up. We've had a couple of AOs that have kind of slipped a little bit, and we haven't had a huge attendance at, and so we've tried to focus our time on that and move some things around, get guys showing up to uh, a lift club on a Saturday morning, or get guys to show up to the campus on Thursday, because we've seen some of those numbers start to dwindle a little bit. One of the big things, and as a first F, to me, uh, I take some pride in the idea of being a role model for other packs. As of recently, I've had a few packs. We've had a couple of VQs within the past couple of weeks. And the packs have reached out to me and asked me and say, "Hey, here's my workout. What do you think?" And I'm not the site Q. And I told them, I said, "Well, why maybe you could talk with your site Q too, but let me take a look and I'll help you out." And talk them through it and explain some of the things and, show them the particulars, give them the document that shows all our particulars and have them practice it with me, or just sit down and brainstorm a little bit about their workouts. So I feel like, I've developed a little bit of a level of respect for, by being so regular out in the gloom, that people see me as, okay, he's a regular, he knows what he's doing out there. Let me get some advice from him. And that's really been my push as first F.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's such an important role. Now, Doug, as you've seen this as much, if not more than I have, but when you go to workouts and you feel like something's missing, or you feel like something's off, it really starts to degrade the entire idea of it. So that consistency, whether it's starting with your first cue or coming back and getting advice from people who have done it over and over again, I think is the way that we stay sharp. I know those numbers have dwindled or ebbed and flowed in other regions too. I don't know if you've picked up on what other regions are experiencing too, but it's certainly not just a Chaminwood issue. Like there are just numbers all over that are falling or slowing down for one reason or another.
I think you're right, Puddles. Is that they ebb and flow. I mean, we've seen them go up and we've seen them down, at least over the last 2 years that I've been part of the organization. We've seen huge numbers, and then every once in a while we'll see it down. I think a good thermometer to it all would be the Three Rivers Fridays, and looking at the numbers there, because it's our only AO that we have open. We've purposely left it that way just to try to pull everybody together on that day. And when we see the numbers on a Three Rivers Friday reach 25, 26, 28 guys, we know that everybody's kind of coming out, and we know that our numbers are good. There have been days that I've been part of the Three Rivers Friday where we've only had 7 or 8 guys show up, and that's to me anyway, that's an indicator to say, hey, there's something going on. Let's figure it out, and let's reach out to some cotters. Let's reach out for some FNGs and make sure that everybody's.
I'm going to be honest. I think part of it is the new F3 Nation app, and it does a lot of great things. But for a nation for a region like us that's very focused on the mumble chatter and the second F, we don't quite get that fire like we used to. And I think Three Rivers Friday is a perfect example. If I look right now, I bet we've got less than 15 comments.
I think it's. Do you think it's indicative of a culture change? Like obviously, when we think about the numbers have dropped off in posts and just guys showing up to workouts are one thing. The region has grown also. So we've got a lot of guys in new areas like Morris and Wilmington and Coal City. Those areas have grown a lot. But then you think about some of the individuals who have left, I think some of those guys who've not been around as much had a lot of the culture with them, the yellow cards, the Millvilles, the even baby mamas not been out as much. Some of the guys who carried some of what it meant to be F3. And I think of those guys as like Three Rivers Fridays staples. And I think there's got to be something there that some that we can work on and some that we can't. But certainly post count is a big indicator of how many guys are actually participating in this on a week to week basis.
Yeah, and I know I haven't been site Q for the last 3 years for evenings. Evenings to me are very indicative. They're like the early indicator to me when evenings start to fall off. I think a lot of it is just people getting busy at the end of the summer. I think is a big part of it. I think once school's back in and people are on a regular schedule, I think that's going to help. I guess we'll have to see. But of course, that's on SLT too as part of it to try to get it back up. I think there's a few factors. I kind of think
I
that's
wonder if some of it is also having been separated from Plainfield for a full year, now going on 2 years of we're just not getting as many Plainfield guys as we would have in the past. Like I think about Ruck Club on Saturday. That used to be 20 guys, 25 guys. Not that a small workout group for men should be that many people. It should really be much smaller. But when I think about some of the guys I saw last week, the week before, I saw Chum Bucket. I don't see him as much around. Guys like Soft Hands have kind of stayed on the border. Spike Horn guys have gone back and forth. But a lot of the faces like Meta, I can't tell you last time I saw Meta. Caboose I've seen a couple times, but more because he's an Nantan, I think he bounces around more. I wonder if that separation now is starting to set in, that we don't see as many Plainfield brothers as we used to.
Yeah, I think we have guys that on both ends of that. We have some of our Chaminwood guys who spend a few days a week up in Plainfield and over at different AOs up in Plainfield as well. So the guys that come down from Plainfield, maybe not coming as often. Maybe some of our guys who, live up closer to Shorewood and to some closer to some of those Plainfield AOs, they spend some time up there as well. So, yeah, I'm sure there is some sort of a correlation between, the growth between Plainfield and Chaminwood. But I feel like our region is still strong. We're still there. We still got some growth to do, and we've got work to do to keep it up. And I think SLT3 is going to have, something for them to work on as well. But, Ricola is, as Nantan, he said that one of the things that we should do towards the end of SLT2 here is really focus our efforts on EHing guys and not necessarily EHing them to a first F event. Let's start EHing guys to a second F event. Let's EH them to a parade. Let's to a third F. Hey, you get a guy, a friend, a buddy at work or whatever, and hey, I'm getting together with a bunch of guys, at Lalo's, that I work out with. Why don't you come out and meet them? Or, why don't you come to a parade where, we're going to be walking through the parade. Why don't you come out to that parade and see what we're about? So those types of things that maybe we can start to change the perspective as to how we EH people, and maybe it's not necessarily the first F that the person's looking for, and maybe it is something like the camaraderie of second F, or the gratification of a third F event, knowing that you're giving back to the community. And we've heard some of that feedback from some of our newer guys that that was something that was missing in their lives as well. So
I think that's a good transition. I've got my COT in a second. I know we're running out of time. See if we get to it. Doughouse, was there anything on the third F info only that you wanted to touch on before we wrap?
Yes, thank you. We've got a couple things coming up. The F3 blood drive, which I know is very near and dear to Puddle's heart. I believe you organized this one as well, right?
What's that?
Did you organize this one as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one in January, and we've got this next one too.
Awesome. So this one's going to be August 18th. They'll be at the Shorewood Troy Library from 12 to 4. There's a sign-up sheet. There's a sign-up link in info only. They take walk-ins as well. And a couple days before that, on August 16th, we will be in the Shanahan Parade. So look for us there. That starts at noon. Touched on that a little bit earlier. And come on out, do a curl with a coupon, and we'll give you a little foam coupon or a flyer.
All right. Awesome.
And add a couple of things to that doghouse. I need to get Ricola to add this on there, but the second F barbecue will be on the 17th, the day after the parade.
Good call.
And also wanted to throw out there that we got a VQ again on Monday. It will be a VQ Monday at the island. So let's get out there and support our new VQ.
Who's going to VQ on Monday?
Cracker Barrel.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Well, I'll close this with a really quick COT. It's something that's been on my mind, and ATF, you just mentioned it, going back to the COT that Ricola gave at the convergence. He touches on the same thing. It's really about what everyone needs. This is a bit controversial, I think, but I'll say that you don't need F3. Like, you can, if you want the first F, I've got the YMCA a half a mile from my house. I can go and work out anytime I want to. It's really easy to do that. I can go for a run anytime I want to. You can work out. You can get the exercise other places. Maybe that's what some guys are doing. I don't know if they're not coming out to our workouts. Maybe they're working out somewhere else. And F3, I think we'll all find out really soon, doesn't need us. It's going to keep going. Whether we're in the SLT, whether there's a new SLT, 5 years from now, there will be new members, and they'll keep it going. It will be the lifeblood of F3. It really doesn't need us. But it's the people in the community that need F3. And that might be the man who needs to discover it for himself, to find it for the first time, to change his life, to change his network, to change his community. That man needs it. We need to find that guy, whether he's at a parade or a bar or wherever he is, and get him out. And the people in the community who benefit from these blood drives, these fundraisers, these third F events, they need F3 because there aren't enough other people doing that kind of work. So I'd encourage everyone to think less about whether you need F3 or whether F3 needs you, and find other people who need it, because they are out there. We need to introduce it to more men, get more organizations involved, because we can give a lot of help that other people cannot. So I'll close it there. I'll wrap up as we always do. Quick Namorama. I'm Bill Skaronsky, 47, Puddles.
Puddles. John Christ, 42, Doghouse.
Doghouse. I'm Kevin Murphy, 50, ATF.
ATF, respect. All right, man. Thanks again. We'll talk soon. Bye.
See you guys.